Hello and welcome to Rolling with Two and More. I'm Will, and with me as always is the one who won't yield it this one way,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a two-player perspective and accessibility for Can't Stop. And we're also throwing in the very little known Down the Highway expansion that Eagle-Gryphon did for their version.
Yeah, for this version very specifically. I mean,
Yes.
I think you could play it with other versions, but it's meant for this one.
Yes. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
Okay, so Can't Stop is a classic Sid Saxon game where players must press their luck with dice and work with probability to close out 3 columns. The board has 1 column for each possible total of 2 6-sided dice, but the number of spaces in each column varies. The more probable a total, the more spaces in that column and the more rolls it takes to complete. All right, Will, so how did the rules change for 2 players?
So there are no changes. There's no bots or anything. You have to play with at least 2 players, and it can go up to 4 players.
Correct. Okay, so issues at a 2-player count is, well, you're not going to have as much tension as higher player counts.
Yeah, there's only one other person to compete up,
Right.
and the first to the top of 7 columns wins, so...
First to 3 of 7.
3 of 7, yes.
Yes.
Why did I say 7?
I
don't know. Top of 3 of
Columns.
the...
Well, there are
the
more
column.
than 7 columns.
Yes, there is. I have no
You
idea
were
what...
stuck on 7.
I think I was thinking of 7 because 7 is the longest column
That is true.
when you were describing probabilities.
Yes. Now, what it does well at a 2-player count is, well, you can more easily recover than at higher player counts. I also feel the board gets less stuck.
Yes,
'Cause-
because if everybody has like 2 columns taken, and in a 4-player game, that's 8 of the 11 numbers
Yes,
taken, so
that's
you
right.
can only go up 3 other columns. And the first
Yes.
on that wins, and that's...
So I think we've actually experienced more longer 4-player games
True.
than 2-player. So I guess that is, well, again, it's going to depend on what you want. If you want a shorter game, 2 players is going to be a better player count.
Yes.
If you want a longer game, then the higher player count will be better. So that's going to be a mixed bag on that. All right, accessibility. So the base game doesn't really do anything too bad when it comes to accessibility. I think even with the color choices, it's fine.
Yeah.
The expansion, though, oh, those are small pieces. They're all little squares, and it's so fiddly. I make Will set up the board every
She's
single
like,
time.
if you want to play this, here's the bag. And-
Well, I also was like, I want to play this. Here's the bag.
yeah.
Basically, you have to put a little square in every space on the board.
Yeah, and you have to make sure they're all face down.
Yes. That takes a while. That
Yes.
is not fun, and it's very fiddly. Also, with the expansion, you might have some, well, I wouldn't say, it's kind of cognitive. There's a lot of rules because there are a lot of different tiles. So they each have a different rule, and they're not always the most intuitive.
Yeah, and some that are, this is the rule, have multiple pictures.
Yeah, the hazards, for whatever reason, they chose 6.
Different
I think
pictures?
6 different pictures to mean the same thing. Basically, if you have a black picture on a yellow background, it's a hazard. But they did actually do different pictures, so, but they don't mean different things. So that's a confusing point. Also, I guess we should point out is because the way the expansion works, you can get into infinite loops. Generally speaking, that is not a good thing in a board game. They basically say if you end up in a infinite loop, when you get back to your starting point, stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
Just don't move anymore. Which makes sense. But it's also unfortunate that they couldn't figure out a way to prevent those infinite loops because everything is set up so randomly.
Yes.
But that's it for challenges. For what it does right, so if you have this version which has a big plastic board that looks like a stop sign.
Oh, sorry. Accessibility, hard to travel with.
Oh yes, that's right.
This version
This
specifically.
particular version, because it's so big, as you can see by this box, the components inside take up the whole space. This is not one of those boxes that I complain about that has too much empty space.
The board is a hard plastic thing.
That takes up pretty much this.
Yes.
The board is as big as this box lid.
Yeah.
So there are other
there's not
versions.
even any gap.
No, there's
really.
no gap. The only thing you have is the corners and underneath the center for where the pieces go. This is why a lot of people actually prefer other versions. There's especially, I believe, I want to say Asian. I'm going to be generic because I don't remember exactly.
If it was like a Japanese release
don't
or
really
a Korean
remember.
release or a...
Yeah, but there's a cloth version with pieces. It's much easier to travel with, much more portable. So there are other versions that are more portable. We don't go anywhere, so we'll go with this.
Yeah.
Also, if you want portability, this is also available on both BGA, Board Game Arena, and Yucata, although they aren't they are not the stop sign version.
Right.
Anyways, so that makes them more accessible.
I think on BGA was a premium game, though.
Yes, BGA, it's a premium game. It's mountain climbing. On Yucata, it's monkeys climbing. I think, generally speaking, other than this stop sign version, most of them are climbing thematics as much as you can put a theme on Can't Stop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that does make them accessible. So if you can't get a physical version or don't want to get a physical version, it is accessible online as well. So for those who have this plastic version, it's very accessible because each space is indented.
Yes.
So you can easily move things.
And the cones stack real neat.
Yes,
nice.
The cones are very easily stackable. As I said, when it came to colors, the base game colors are okay, but the great part is you can buy additional cone colors. We bought black and orange. I believe there's more than that. Like
there's a pink, there's a purple, there's even a white, which I'm not sure you'd want to buy because...
Yeah, your temporary.
Your temporary cones are white to show like, okay, this is not permanent. This is just where I'm moving.
Right. Because on your turn, you roll dice and you move the 3 white cones until you either bust or you stop. And when you stop, then you move your cones.
But it could be the case where if white just happens to be the best color for you, you can do that and then use a different color for your temporary cones.
Oh, that's true. Because there's more colors than you could use in because it's still a 4-player game.
Yeah, it's just maxed out.
Regardless of how many colors of cones you have. So like we actually have 6 colors of cones, but you still only play with up to 4. Okay, I think that's everything for accessibility.
All right. So for 2 players, would you recommend?
I do. I really enjoyed it 2 players. I mean, I also enjoyed it 4, but I do enjoy that it's a little more
chill.
Yes.
2 player, definitely a good chill game.
Yes.
Accessibility.
Mostly, yes. The expansion is going to be a mixed bag. On the other hand, the expansion...
Literally, it just comes in a bag. Of tiles.
I was also going to say that people are also mixed opinions of the expansion because it changes it so much, but we'll talk about that in our review.
Yes.
So for accessibility, this is mostly if you got the base game, you shouldn't have any problems.
Yes. All right. That's it for us. So Sarah.
Yes.
You've seen a number of versions of this game.
Yes.
Is there one you prefer?
I don't know. I would call it classic, but I actually don't know if the stop sign version is like the original. I forgot.
It's just the one we first.
It's the one we first got. I think older versions were the mountain climbing. I will say, the monkeys climbing. It is funny to me. For a game that really doesn't need a theme and it doesn't need a theme.
What would if you had to put a theme on it? What would you put?
Food, because a lot of people can't stop eating food. I mean, generically, I just thought of it right now.
I got to the top of the hot dog.
Well,
and she got to the top of the pizza.
Okay, so maybe it doesn't make any sense. But most of these abstract games that have themes don't have themes that make sense. So
I would probably put little butterflies going to flowers.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty.
No, just so it looks pretty.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, they did just redo.
I mean, you could do kaiju climbing little buildings.
I guess you got a point. If you're gonna change the aesthetics, making it prettier, because they just did that with Bonanza, making it into Dahlia, because now it's just flowers instead of beans.
Yeah.
Yeah, making it pretty. Best Sobel's art. I would buy that version.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. And why would you ever roll with just one when you could be
rolling with 2?
If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with 2, that's TWO. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Discord, we have a channel on Tabletop Express. Check the show notes for the invite link.
If you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.